I've always said we follow the money. And whether it's tax based on ideology or taxed on institutions of faith or people of faith, someone's paying for it. And we are reverse tracing those steps. We are not stopping at the perpetrator themselves. We are reverse engineering to hold those accountable in our investigations to who funded them and knowingly funded them. And we will bring the appropriate steps against them with our partners at DOJ.
You better believe we will, right? We will bring the appropriate steps. So now we've got to follow all the money and figure out who's involved, because you got problems going on campuses, if you haven't noticed. There's a citizen journalist, David Kayet, who was on Twitter and did this. He went, I guess, to a university in Georgia and was stunned by what he saw just days after the Charlie Kirk situation. I mean, it breaks your heart. Watch. Unfortunately, I don't think we had sound on that one. I don't think the sound came through. But what he was saying was that there was effectively propaganda there that was being pushed. Let's see if we can try one more time, because it's worth hearing. If not, I'll show you tomorrow. But he basically went out to this campus in Georgia, and he discovered that there were all these flyers for ending fascism and ending Trump. And so the question then becomes, who's funding those groups on campuses all across America, right? Who is that? And look, a lot of members of Congress, including our friend Ana Paulina Luna, the representative out of Florida, is saying that it's coming from foreign governments. She specifically cited the guy that you're looking at right there, who the New York Times did a huge expose on just a couple of years ago. He's married to the woman who started Code Pink. His name is Neville Singman, and she's requesting that he come and testify. Apparently he lives in China now, so that's kind of hard to do. But she's saying, look, foreign governments are funding operations on college campuses to promote this political violence. And this is what Charlie was trying to combat in his own way, to say, hey, you know what? We can have conversations, real conversations. And he wanted to be out there in front of this. And so there may have been people that didn't want him, right, to be out there doing this. According to this article, well, it's not just that article, so it's not just the New York Times. It was also the Daily Beast that wrote about the U.S. tech mogul bankrolling pro-Russia, pro-China news networks. I mean, this was his business. He's out there and, you know, with Code Pink Lady, trying to engage in what the New York Times called a smokeless war. Under the rule of Xi Jinping, China has expanded state media operations, teamed up with overseas outlets, and cultivated foreign influencers. The goal is disguise propaganda as independent content. But what is it? It's propaganda. And so the Times investigation found that Mr. Sigmund had quite a role in all this. He had a lot of Chinese propaganda interests that he was out there perpetuating and supporting financially. Now, he has said, no, not the case. He said, quote, I categorically deny and repudiate any suggestion that I am a member of, work for, or take orders from any, or follow instructions from any political party or government or their representatives. I am solely guided by my beliefs, which are my long-hold personal beliefs. Of course, is he getting paid? I mean, isn't this part of his business to actually push this stuff? According to the article, he married this Code Pink lady, Jody Evans. And apparently she used to be like anti-China because of the Uyghurs. But then, you know, when she married him and she suddenly changed her mind, they had some kind of who's who of progressivism at their wedding in Jamaica, including they had the co-founder of Ben & Jerry's. One of those guys just quit, just resigned. He doesn't like that Unilever is trying to tell him what to do. You know, they started as a little company. He's a communist that somehow made millions, billions probably, off of that business. Anyway, this is the concern, right? He's got a company called NewsClick. And basically, they sprinkle all these Chinese government talking points all over their videos. And they have all ways of cross-posting these videos, etc., to try and perpetuate a worldview out there that would be pro-China and would sow discord amongst the U.S. and the U.S. citizens. And so the fear at this point is that the PSL group, which is backed by him and is a communist organization, that's actually receiving tons of money through him, and he's channeling that for negative purposes. I mean, I know that people look at Soros as well and say, you know, what is he doing with his money? But one of the concerns here, according to an interesting Twitter account, which I encourage you guys to follow, Data Republican, is that National Network on Cuba has a member of U.S. organizations that readers of my feed, she writes, will find familiar, including Code Pink, right? The one that Jody runs. She's married to Neville. Alliance for Global Justice, Democrats, Socialists for America, and here we go, Armed Queers of Salt Lake City. So that's the group that they're suddenly focused on, because if you go onto Twitter, apparently a lot of people were talking about Charlie Kirk almost in the past tense before it happened. And there were some music things. I mean, we talked about that the other day on the show, that there were some songs with really horrific titles that seemed to suggest people knew things before they happened. Here's their logo, again, Armed Queers of Salt Lake City. And it's now being looked at. Sources can confirm that this is a group that is being investigated. The Washington Examiner did a story on them. We also see that the New York Post has done a story. The New York Post is looking at this as well, and sources are confirming to the New York Post that, in fact, this is a group that is being examined. And I quote, "The feds have widened their investigation into the assassination of Charlie Kirk to determine whether any of these groups, online groups, had any connection with him." And that's the big question right now. Apparently, Armed Queers did take down all of their social media. I went looking for it myself just yesterday. All of it was wiped out. All of it was gone. But you know what? That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter, because somebody's going to get it. You know, if it's online once, it's there forever. Again, I hate reading this stuff because it's so tragic. But this is the article in the New York Post where they've been citing these internet sleuths online and showing these disturbing messages, because the day before the shooting, there was a post that was made saying, you know, I hope that he's evaporated. And then somebody followed it with something big is going to happen. So there were these threats out there online. And now the question becomes, how credible are those? Were those? And is there some other group that maybe was getting financing from enemies of America? I mean, look, you know, we're all adults here. And I think that you got to take all of this into question. It's the reason why people were worried about TikTok, right? You know, being run by China, because, I mean, just look at the things that we saw on TikTok. It's just atrocious. I'm not showing any of those things here. Trust me. But the sentiment that somehow that this was justified or okay is pretty awful. I mean, think about the Oxford guy, right? Who ran the debate team, who debated Charlie, for goodness sakes. And he actually said, in some cases, these institutions, they're so arcane that you actually need to resort to violence to take them down. He believed in that. That is a viewpoint of extremism. Like, that is never, ever where we want to be. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger gets that. Let's go to Arnold, because Arnold, he's setting the record straight here. Arnold Schwarzenegger is impressing me a lot lately. I know he's had his problems in the past, but you know what he said? How sad he was. Because this should never be the way, right? Like, we have a wonderful, wonderful country, and we need to keep it that way. Our freedom of speech is everything. It is the First Amendment. And just because you don't agree with someone doesn't mean you do this. Here is Mr. Schwarzenegger.
Very upset that someone's life was taken because they have a different opinion. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, this was a great communicator, a great advocate for the right, for Republican causes. And he had such a great way of communicating with the students that agreed or disagreed with him. And I just thought about, it's a human being. A human life is gone. And he was a great father, a great husband. And I was thinking about his children. they will only be reading about him now, instead of him reading to them bedtime stories. I mean, it's just unbelievable of what is going on. So I was shocked when I saw this, as we all were.
Yeah. I was shocked. Arnold was shocked. We were all shocked, and we all are asking the same questions, like, how could this have happened? Who is funding this? Who are the radical groups allowing for this on college campuses? I believe we do now have the audio I wanted to show you from this independent reporter, David Kayet, I believe is his name, and he was in Georgia out there trying to figure out how it is that so soon after a tragedy you would see something like this. Let's watch.
We're here at Georgia Tech University in Atlanta, Georgia, and the first thing I see when I come to the campus is the fall of the Trump fascist regime beginning November 5th, 2025. RefuseFascism.org needs to be investigated. 2028 is way too late. Trump must go now. If you walk with me here, we have another sign. This is the scary part. The time has come for the fall of the Trump fascist regime, beginning November 5th. No, in the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America. All over the campus, similar signs. No, in the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America. RefuseFascism.org, followed by a sign that we already read. This is happening all over this campus. So you got to ask yourself, when you see posters like this nonstop, what are they advocating for? Are they inciting certain events that we have seen recently? The time has come for the fall of the Trump fascist regime. The time has come. I want to say that again. The time has come. That is what left-leaning organizations on college campuses at Georgia Tech are propagating to college students. So when I walk around and I ask students, do you condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk? And they say no. It's most likely because of stuff like this.
I mean, I'm blown away. I don't know how anybody could be so desensitized that they wouldn't condemn this. And you know, something's going on. Okay, something's going on, and we, as Americans, as adults, have a responsibility to do a better job guiding our kids and to get all of this craziness out of there. I mean, you just can't have this kind of negativity in the educational system. You can't have it in our society. So there's going to be a lot of work that is done